Okay, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we're bringing to you a little bit of a subset of the show and series called Wrist Watch Rambles and Rants, which is proudly brought to you by Wrist Candy Watch Club. And essentially, when it comes to sponsored content, I like to be absolutely transparent about it. This is not a review. This is something that's just kind of a fun subject that typically wouldn't get a dedicated video, but thanks to sponsors like Wrist Candy Watch Club, I do get to put together little videos like this, and it gives me a chance to kind of just give them a shout out, do a little bit of product placement without it being a paid review in any way, because we're not going to be talking about their straps. We'll just be kind of giving them a quick little shout and showcase before we dive into the main event. And the main topic here is this really cool little OEM plus bracelet combination that I was able to piece together by getting my Seiko SZSB, as you can see there in the lower right hand corner, and taking that bracelet with that's very nicely tapering, that has also a really great clasp, and pairing it with the solid end links from your standard SZSB bracelet and making kind of some magic. And I think it looks fantastic, guys. So with that said, let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get these pieces in hand, and take a closer look. All right, guys, now before we jump in, of course, Wrist Candy Watch Club, they have all types of cool straps that you can see here. Nylon NATO style straps, really great and super affordable. Nothing super expensive, but also nothing ultra premium fanciness. These are ones that you can absolutely just wear the heck out of and really not give any second thoughts. So big shout out to Wrist Candy Watch Club for, of course, sponsoring this particular segment. So if you want to support the channel and support, a brand that does also support the channel, give them a check. I'll leave link in the description. But now to the main event, guys. Let's get to it. All right. So we took the bracelet off of this bad boy right here, which I think is actually an outstanding watch for the money, under 300 bucks from Sakura Watches. Definitely check out my channel history if you want the full review on this timepiece. But the bracelet is what really got me going, guys. Check this out. So I'm actually using the standard Alpinist bracelet and links there, but I have woven in the bracelet from the SZSB, and the main difference is going to be this dramatic taper, guys. You don't get that with a standard SZSB bracelet. It's a very mild taper that goes from like 20 to 18. This goes from 20 to 16, which is great. Also, you do get the newer style clasp. As you can see, it does have that nice little overhang, which protects you from looking like you have a big old gap there. You're really not going to notice that unless you're at this angle, is the only way you're going to notice that there's a little bit of space there. But for the most part, this little overhang, it's also something that Grand Seiko employs. So it's a really cool feature. Also, you get half links for great fitment, 2 half links, and I only needed 1 to make it fit perfectly. Also, nicely milled clasp, so you're not getting really any downgrades from that standpoint. Although I will say that the links, instead of it being 3 links kind of put together, it's really just 2. The outer links are just running in between a center link, so it's really just 2 links. This is 1 link, this is another link. And as you can see, but honestly, there are much more expensive Seiko watches that employ that same type of solution. So you can't really get too mad. But let's get this thing on wrist, guys, so you can really see where the difference is made. Check this out. Oh, actually, let me give it a quick wipe there, guys. Off camera. I know what you're thinking. Oh man, what am I just looking at a background for right now instead of seeing this watch? Bam. Check that out. All right, so I've seen so many people wear this watch on a bracelet, and I love it on the it looks great on the bracelet, but that lack of the taper for the smaller case. Now, the non-taper doesn't bother me so much on the traditional Alpinist with the compass and the extra crown and the crown guards and everything. It's just a larger silhouette, although it's not much larger. It just is. And that taper, the dramatic taper, isn't as required. But here I just felt like every time I saw this on the traditional bracelet, that was just the missing link. There was just that beautiful taper. And as you can see, wow, that taper is just gorgeous, and it helps, of course, with mobility and articulation, but it also just looks great. It adds more refinement, and because this is a smaller diameter, it does help that those lines flow, and it gives you a little bit more wrist presence versus it looking like this undersized watch. Now it just has a nice flow to it. As you can see, it's nice and tight, and then it comes wider angle, and it just is big in the right places and small in the right places as well. You can see that female end link really just helps. So although there are some, tapering aftermarket bracelets, typically they're going to have those male end links, and they just are unsightly and do not look as good as something like this. It's really going to be at certain angles. Like you look straight on, those male end links don't look bad, but then like when you hit it at about this angle, you realize how long they are and how much they just kind of hang below the case, and they just don't look great at that angle, guys. Here, this is going to look great. It's not a perfect fit. I will say that although you can't probably notice, this initial link here has a bit of a notch cut into it, which can catch from time to time. So it's not like super smooth in terms of the articulation from the end link, but it's not really moving around a lot. You're really only going to notice that movement while it's off wrist and you're kind of playing with the watch, but while you're wearing it, makes no difference. And as you can see, that gap, really you don't see it until boom, till it's like straight on. But that little lip does help hide the gap really nicely. And it's the same type of clasp that you will see, not the exact same clasp, but the same type of clasp with that little overhang is what you'd see on some Grand Seiko models, as well as the new Seiko Sharp Edge models, which I own as well. So yeah, this thing looks good, guys, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Did you put yours on a Jeanneau bracelet or a Monta bracelet, or maybe a rubber strap that was meant for a Submariner? Just because the end links on the Alpinist line are very versatile. It hits that sweet spot in terms of the lug width and the spring bar position, to where it actually is quite interchangeable with a lot of different options. And there are still a few other ones out there, even within the OEM world. But for me, I felt like this was kind of a first, since this is a newer watch, this SZSB. Again, this thing's great. Yeah, I dig it. And if you probably got it and not in this color, I think this one looks really great on the steel, but let's say you get the black dial or the blue dial variation, that's something you could definitely wear on a strap and it would look really great. Here, I'm kind of so because of the cream. If it was more of a pale silver white rendering in terms of the dial color, I probably would have been more okay to put this on a strap, but right now it's just waiting to go back on the bracelet. But I did want to share this with you guys for those of you that are out there that are just like, man, I would love that watch, but it needs a bracelet. Yes, try to source one of these, guys. As far as I know, it's not out yet, but considering how cheap you can get these for, get one of them on bracelet and just swap it. You can use the end links from any other bracelet for the, I shouldn't say any other, but the main other bracelet for the the Alpinist. It doesn't have to be the Prospex Alpinist, even the SZSB011, the SZSB017, that bracelet that fits it from I think from the SARG line is the main one that people use. It's great. I have it on my SZSB017 as well as on this one. I used to anyway. But with this taper, I just had to share that. I think it just looks so much better, guys. It just does. It just, now this to me is like a Hamilton khaki fighter because of now it's more of a complete package. And it looks great. And don't get me wrong, this thing still looks good on other types of straps. Looks great on a Tropic strap. Looks great on leather. Looks great on a NATO. But something about black and steel, it just has that appeal. And yeah, that did rhyme. For those of you that were wondering, yes, that did rhyme. And it just looks good, guys. Look at that. And some of you are screaming at the screen, oh man, the Fotina, this and that, or the fact that the loom doesn't really match the font. Guys, the loom's not supposed to match the font. The loom matches the loom. There's loom plots on the outer section here. What the font is supposed to match is the rest of the font. All right. And yes, it is a warmer ivory tone. And it does go with the kind of tropical dial that has that kind of gradation to the center. And it's a good look. It's a great look. Would I prefer it if it was pure white font? Sure I would. Sure. But I don't know. I don't know if it would actually look better. I know that when the light catches it and the white balance washes it out and makes it look a little bit whiter, I do typically prefer how that looks versus when it's on the other end of the spectrum, where it makes it look artificially more mustardy and yellow. I'd say it's closer in actuality to to an ivory color, or maybe even with a hint of just that it looks almost like just some thickly applied loom. And I think that's why people get a little thrown off, and they're just like, man, why couldn't they just make it match? Because it almost looks like the tone of loom already. But I get it. It's not the perfect watch, but man, does it get close by just being something that you could wear any day. I mean, for me, this is shouting, kind of explorer alternative from that standpoint. And it's all in-house, screw down crown, 200 meters of water resistance, everything you need, nothing you don't, sapphire crystal. You got anti-reflective coating, which you won't find in the Rolex Explorer, at least not the older iterations. I don't know if they finally have moved over to that by now, but who knows. But yeah, this is cool. And also ultimately more capable and rugged in terms of water resistance as well. And I think it's a good looker. But yeah, this is, and also of course with the numerals on the dial, it goes head to head with watches like the Hamilton khaki. Those are great field watches. And this is also kind of within that same vein of the field watch style. But yeah, I think it looks great. Look at that taper. Oh yeah, it just so much better than that standard Alpinist bracelet on here. Now again, on the regular compass equipped Alpinist, not as much of a big deal, but here when you look at those curves on the case, that V just comes down, tapers nicely. Look at that. Looks great. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked the video, please do hit like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. And again, big thank you to Wrist Candy Watch Club for sponsoring this particular episode. Because without them, guys, I would have just moved on to the next review. But thanks to them, I shared this little tip with you guys. So with that said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked the video, please do a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.